Imagine for a moment that you were sitting at your desk, scrolling through your phone, when you see it. A notification pops up. Someone you went to high school with, someone you never felt was particularly smarter or more hardworking than you, has just landed a massive promotion, bought a beautiful home, or achieved a dream you've been chasing for years. In that split second, you don't feel a rush of warmth or pride. Instead, you feel a sharp, cold, sinking sensation in your gut. It's a bitter taste, a flash of irritation, and a desperate, immediate need to find a reason why they don't actually deserve it. If you've ever felt this, you aren't a monster. You're experiencing one of the most complex, uncomfortable, and deeply human psychological loops in existence. We live in a world that tells us to be happy for others, yet our biology is often wired to do the exact opposite. This reaction is a window into the deepest parts of our ego, and today we're going to peel back those layers to understand why we sometimes hate seeing others succeed and what that reaction is actually trying to tell us about our own lives. At the very heart of this reaction is the concept of social comparison. To the human brain, success is almost never viewed in a vacuum. We don't just look at our lives and ask, "Am I doing well?" Instead, we look around and ask, "How am I doing compared to them?" We use the achievements of those around us as a yardstick to measure our own worth. When someone in our immediate circle, a peer, a sibling, or a colleague, reaches a milestone, it acts as a mirror. If we are already feeling stagnant or unhappy with our own progress, that mirror doesn't show us their success. It reflects our own perceived failures back at us with a blinding intensity. Psychologists call this upward social comparison. While this can occasionally inspire us to work harder, it more often triggers a defense mechanism. If I see you succeeding and I feel I am standing still, your progress feels like a tangible threat to my status. In the primitive parts of our brain, life is still viewed as a zero-sum game. If you were winning, the lizard brain whispers that there must be less winning available for me. It's an evolutionary holdover from a time when resources, like food and land, were strictly finite. If the person in the next tribe over got a bigger portion, it literally meant you might starve. Even though we now live in a world of digital abundance, our brains haven't quite received the memo. This leads us into the darker territory of envy. There is a vital distinction between what researchers call benign envy and malicious envy. Benign envy is that uncomfortable but motivating feeling of, "I wish I had what they have," which can lead to self-improvement. But the psychology of someone who truly hates seeing others succeed is governed by malicious envy. This isn't about wanting to reach the other person's level, it's about wanting to pull the other person down to yours. This malicious drive often stems from a lack of self-efficacy, the internal belief that you actually have the power to change your own life. When a person feels fundamentally powerless to climb the ladder themselves, their only logical move to close the social gap is to shake the ladder while someone else is on it. This is why you'll hear people diminish a friend's victory by saying they just got lucky, or they probably had help from their parents. It's a psychological shield, a way to protect the ego from the painful reality of their own perceived inadequacy. By devaluing the success, they devalue the gap between themselves and the person they envy. To understand where this hater mentality begins, we have to look back at the architecture of our childhoods. Many people who struggle with the success of others grew up in environments where praise was treated like a scarce commodity. If a parent only showed affection when a child was the best or the winner, that child learned that their value was tied strictly to being at the top of the hierarchy. In these households, a sibling's success was often used as a weapon of shame. You might remember being asked, "Why can't you be more like your brother?" This creates a deep-seated scarcity mindset. These individuals grow up believing there is only one success pie. If someone else takes a large slice, they feel the portion remaining for them is shrinking. They don't see success as an infinite resource. They see it as a pile of gold that is being depleted by everyone around them.
This scarcity isn't just about money or trophies, it's about the perceived amount of respect, love, and validation available in the world. As we move into adulthood, this manifests in what sociologists call crab mentality, or the crabs in a bucket syndrome. If you put a single crab in a bucket, it will easily climb out. But if you put a group of crabs in a bucket and one tries to escape, the others will reach up and pull it back down. They would rather everyone stay trapped in the bucket than see one individual reach freedom. In human circles, this happens when a group is bonded by a shared struggle or a shared level of mediocrity. When one person breaks away, perhaps by getting sober, starting a business, or getting fit, it threatens the group's collective identity. Their success becomes a living indictment of everyone else's choice to stay the same. The physical reality of this is even more fascinating when we look at the neurobiology of what is known as Schadenfreude. This is the secret dark satisfaction we feel when a successful person eventually fails. Neuropsychological studies have shown that when people who feel envy toward a peer see that peer experience a setback, the reward centers of their brain, specifically the ventral striatum, light up. This is the same part of the brain that reacts when you eat a delicious meal or win a bet. Essentially, for the person who hates seeing others succeed, the failure of a rival provides a chemical reward. It's a hit of dopamine that restores their internal sense of balance. It validates their narrative that the world is fair again because the person who was ahead has been knocked back. Then we have the digital gasoline being poured on this fire: social media. In the past, you only had to compare yourself to your neighbors or your small town. Today, we carry the Joneses in our pockets 24 hours a day. We're constantly bombarded by the highlight reels of thousands of people, curated to look effortless. We see the promotion, the engagement, and the vacation, but we never see the late nights, the arguments, or the credit card debt behind the scenes. This creates a state of relative deprivation. We feel we are worse off than we should be based on a false standard. For someone already prone to resentment, social media turns every scroll into a personal attack, a constant reminder of everything they haven't achieved yet. But there is even a deeper layer to this: the fear of being left behind. Success is often synonymous with change. When a friend succeeds, they might move to a new city, join new social circles, or develop new interests. To the person watching from the sidelines, that friend's success feels like a looming abandonment. The resentment isn't just about the money or the fame, it's about the terror that the relationship will never be the same again. They hate the success because they fear it is the wall that will eventually separate them from the person they care about. So how do we begin to dismantle this? How does a person move from a place of malicious envy to a place of genuine peace? The first step is radical self-awareness. It requires admitting that the sting you feel isn't about the other person, it's about you. It's about a part of your own life that feels unexamined or unfulfilled. When you feel that flash of hatred, instead of looking for flaws in the other person, you have to look for the wound in yourself. What is their success highlighting that you feel you lack? Is it a sense of purpose? Is it financial security? Is it simply the courage to try? Breaking this cycle also requires a radical shift in how we perceive our own value. Psychologists point toward self-affirmation theory as a cure. When we take the time to focus on our own core values, the things that make us who we are, regardless of our job title or bank account, the achievements of others stop feeling like a threat. If my value is rooted in my integrity, my creativity, or my kindness, then your promotion doesn't take anything away from me. Your light doesn't make my world any darker. We also have to intentionally train the brain to move from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset. This involves the practice of what is known as sympathetic joy, the intentional act of celebrating someone else's win as if it were a win for the collective. It sounds simple, but it is a mental muscle that must be built through repetition. Every time you see someone succeed, you have to consciously override the lizard brain's fight or flight response and replace it with a thought of gratitude. You have to tell yourself, if it is possible for them, it is possible for me. We must also realize that success is not a limited resource. The universe is not a giant warehouse with a finite number of good lives. Just because someone else found a path to happiness doesn't mean there are fewer paths available for you. In fact, seeing others succeed is proof of concept. It is evidence that growth is possible, that hard work can pay off, and that dreams can be realized. When we stop viewing life as a competition, we start seeing others as pioneers who are showing us what is possible. Ultimately, the psychology of hating success is a cycle of self-entrapment. It keeps you focused on everyone else's lane instead of your own. While you're busy calculating how much luck your neighbor had, you're losing the time and energy required to build your own foundation. You're effectively putting your happiness in the hands of other people's failures. That is a dangerous and unstable way to live. As we conclude this deep dive, remember that the goal isn't to be perfect. You might still feel that tiny sting of envy from time to time, but the difference lies in what you do with it. You can let it turn into the poison of resentment, or you can use it as a compass. That sting is often a signal from your subconscious, pointing you toward the things you actually want for yourself. Listen to it. Use it to fuel your own growth. When you finally reach a place where you can look at another person's victory and feel a genuine sense of peace, you'll realize that you've achieved the greatest success of all, the mastery of your own mind. You have broken free from the bucket. You have stopped drinking the poison, and in doing so, you have finally given yourself the permission to rise. The journey from hater to supporter isn't just about being a better person for others, it's about being a freer person for yourself. Because when you stop hoping for others to fail, you finally unlock the mental space to succeed on your own terms. The world is wide. The possibilities are infinite, and there is more than enough room at the top for everyone.